So welcome to my kitchen. This is Cooking Today. Hi, welcome to Cooking Today. Glad you're here making Mexican food. We love it. Y'all love it. You tell me on the street and you comment on my Instagram and you talk about it on the Cooking Today page. We are Mexican food people, aren't we? My family is for sure. Guess what I'm making? I cannot wait to show you this. I'm making, if you live in Northwest Arkansas, and maybe other places, I'm not quite sure. Have you gone to the Northwest Arkansas Mexican food restaurants and ordered the Stevens Special? I would venture to say that somebody in my family, we probably, between the 5 of us, somebody gets it at least twice a week. I mean, I bet we at least order it 2 times a week somewhere, whether it's on campus, whether it's here in Springdale, whatever. It's our favorite dish. Apparently, and I kind of did a little searching on the internet, the family that owns these restaurants, that I believe the folklore says that they named this meal after their son, Steven Special. What this is fantastic seasoned grilled chicken. Now this is the way I'm doing it. This is my Steven Special remix. So we have really good seasoned chicken that we're gonna cut thinly and grill and then slice it really thinly. Put it over a white queso rice. You know what I'm talking about. If you've had it before, you know exactly what it looks like. Mine looks a little bit different than the one at the restaurants, but it is good. And let me tell you, you know, I've got my kids, so I've made this for them before. And I mean, you would think they were being paid like on a panel of judges. Like they're sitting there and they're like taking a bite and they'll go, that bite was very close, Mom. And then they'll put some of it in their warm tortilla and they'll go, oh, in the tortilla, it tastes just like it. I mean, we've got some real sophisticated judging going on here. Anyway, it's really good, it's really close, and it's really easy to make at home. So let me tell you how we're gonna get going on it. Okay, first, I am making my own taco seasoning. Now, you know we've made our own kind of brown sugar chili rub before. We've made a blackening seasoning that I absolutely love that's like got a good base of like smoked paprika. But today I'm actually making my own taco seasoning because I really like when the meat is a little bit spicy because the cheesy rice is so nice and mild and creamy. I like that little bite. So I have been talking and measuring, and y'all know how that goes around here. We've had to stop before and count. Oh my goodness, it's not easy. I think I've done a pretty good job here. We have the recipe on our website, of course, for this taco seasoning. But basically, what it is chili powder and cumin and salt and pepper, oregano, garlic powder, onion powder. Actually, I have granulated garlic, granulated onion, paprika, not smoked. That's what I put in my blackening seasoning. But in this one, we're just doing regular. And then just a little hit of red pepper flakes, about a half a teaspoon or so. When I was first writing this recipe for this taco seasoning, I did a full teaspoon of red pepper flakes, and it like burned your mouth off. So I cut back just a little bit. My trusty little jar system, these are just anywhere. I'm sure they're at Harps, I'm sure they're just at wherever. These little bitty jars, and it just makes it so easy to store. So we have our homemade taco seasoning all mixed up. Now, what I have is 3 chicken breasts. And I have just the full-size chicken breasts that I get from Harps, and I'm gonna just cut off, you know, the fatty parts and make sure that they look really nice and trimmed. And then we're gonna have them. And we've done this before. Gosh, we make cutlets a lot. They cook really quickly. They're a little easier to handle. And in this, if you have had a Stevens Special at a restaurant around here, then you know that the chicken is not really the focal point. It's kind of equal to the rice and the cheese, and it's kind of all mixed in and all of that. And so we don't want to have big, huge, thick pieces of chicken or big bites of chicken. So we're going to kind of thin it down. We're going to have these, and then when we cut it at the very end, we're going to cut it in really, really thin pieces. So when it stirs into the rice, it's kind of like magical. You're going to love this. Okay, so I've got my knife, got my flat palm and my thumb out of the way. That's important. And I'm just running my knife down through here and going to have these. Okay? There's one. And here is the second one. And you're going to need to preheat your grill. I like a good hot grill. Like my grill probably gets up to 500 or 600 degrees. I'm doing it on a gas grill. Of course, when you open the lid to stick these on, you're going to lose some heat. So you want it to be super hot to start off with. Okay, how about that? So I've got my 6 little cutlets and my taco seasoning. I am going to powder both sides of these and just put them on my sheet pan, let them camp out. And when we come back, we're going to start on our queso and our rice. This is Cooking Today.
Cooking Today, sponsored by West Rock Coffee Company.
Hi, welcome back to Cooking Today. I am making our very favorite Mexican dish that we always get out at restaurants around here. We are making a Stevens special remix, like an at-home version that's about as close to it as I can get. It's really good. So let me tell you what we've done. We have mixed our own homemade taco seasoning. We halved 3 chicken breasts, and so we have these 6 nice little cutlets, and I seasoned both sides of the chicken, and I'm just going to set this over here and let it camp out, because what we're wanting to do is let that sit for a minute and let the seasonings that are on the outside of the chicken not just stay on the outside, but just have a little time to kind of start to soak down into the meat itself. Now, we have 2.5 cups of water that I've got in my saucepan and with a lid, and I have got that working on a boil anyway. I don't know if we're there yet. Nope, not yet. And then we have 2.5 cups of 5-minute rice. Now you know the trick with rice. It's whatever, it's equal amounts of water, equal amounts of rice, takes out all the guesswork. So 2.5 cups and 2.5 cups. So as soon as that starts to boil, we're gonna add in our 2.5 cups of rice. And that just cooks in about 5 minutes or so. So all I'm gonna do is let that absorb, and then I'll just kind of set it off of the heat and just leave the lid on, and it'll stay nice and tender until it's time for us to fluff it and then add it into our queso. Isn't this so easy? I mean, really, really easy. So let's start on our queso. This is kind of the magical part that just kind of pulls it all together. Oh, it's just delicious. I am using my brazier, which, you know, it's the hero of the day all the time, right? My big Le Creuset brazier. And what we're gonna do is saute a shallot first. Now, shallot is a much, much milder onion flavor than a regular onion or a red onion or a yellow onion. And it's just a little smaller. I don't want a ton of onion in there. I just kind of want the essence of it. And so I am just giving it a little bitty chop. And we're gonna saute them. You know what, let me start my skillet. We're gonna saute those for just a few minutes. And really, you don't want your heat to get too hot. You really want it to be low or medium low. Not anything more, like if you've got a 10 number dial, I would probably never have it higher than maybe a 3, because we're gonna add milk and cheese into this, and you don't want it to scald. That would be a disaster. We really want it to just warm, warm, warm without scalding. And we just want to barely saute this shallot enough to get it tender. You know how I always tell you I love the color. I love when onions start to get a little color. They kind of change flavor at that point. I don't want a caramelized onion in this, believe it or not, even though I totally love that. We really just want a very tender shallot. This is my new knife, y'all, and it is sharp. I'm trying to be really careful so that we don't make for some crazy TV episodes. Okay. So I've gone over it just a little bit with my knife. I'm going to swirl my brazier with a little bit of oil. And like I said, I've got this down on about a 3. I want it to be, this is a longer, lower, slower process so we get this really nice and cooked down. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Okay, I'm going to move these over. My mom always says, I can't believe you move vegetables with those big knives. You probably shouldn't. So I hope she's not watching today. It makes her nervous. Okay, I'm getting my last little bits here. You know, I usually have my food scoop, but I don't know where that is today. Okie doke. We are sauteing our shallot just the littlest bit. Then let me tell you what else we've got going that we're going to put in. After this, we're going to pour in 2 cups of whole milk to our shallot. I'm going to stir it real quick. I'm even going to turn this down just the littlest bit, y'all. We don't want them to get hot, 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 and we don't want them to turn brown, brown, brown. We just want them to get tender. Okay. There's that. We're going to stir in some whole milk. We're going to stir in the juice of a can of our Rotel and then some garlic paste and let that cook down a little bit. We'll do that in a minute when we come back. We're going to work on our rice and throw on our chicken. It's going to be so good. You're going to love it. This is Cooking Today.
Iced tea, sponsored by Lipton.
What I love most about the farmers market is the music, the art, the food, the people themselves. That's local, that's Fayetteville.
Local means homegrown.
My kids can run around, they can choose what she wants to get and eat.
I like growing and selling directly to the public.
The market is kind of what community ought to be.
Visit us Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday on the square.
The Fayetteville Farmers Market.
100% local
And love.
Hi, welcome back to Cooking Today. I'm making Stephen's special at home. Delicious, seasoned, thin, tiny bites of chicken that we're gonna grill, and this delicious white queso that we're tossing in this rice. I mean, it's really, really easy. It's so good and rich, so many flavors. You're gonna love this. So we've made our taco seasoning. We have let our chicken camp out. The grill is now preheating. You want a really hot grill because when you open your lid to your grill, you're gonna immediately lose probably 100 degrees right off the bat. So get it hot first, and then you get that good sear right when you lay everything down. And then, you know, your heat will be just fine. Chicken, hanging out with our seasoning on it. We have our rice that has come to a boil, or our water that has come to a boil. And I have my 2.5 cups of rice that I'm gonna stir in as well. Let me get my little spoon. Give that a stir. Make sure it's all in there. Isn't 5-minute rice the greatest thing ever? Oh my goodness. Okay. So I'm going to turn that down, let that just kind of soak and simmer, and then we'll check that. Then I have my shallot that we cut up just real, real small, just a good, I had a pretty good sized shallot. We have let that saute over low heat, and now I have 2 cups of room temperature whole milk that I'm going to pour in. Okay, and I'm going to, I've done this before on a queso that I made, a different kind, but I want the juice out of the Rotel not the tomatoes themselves. You can save the tomatoes for something else. But I'm going to give this a good squeeze with the lid to get all that flavored, peppery, sweet, spicy liquid out of our can of tomatoes with green chilies. Okay? And because all of this is cold going in, or pretty cold, you know, room temperature, I'm going to go ahead and turn my heat up just the littlest bit. But again, not higher than like a, you know, not higher than medium. We don't want it to get so hot that our milk's scald. So I'm really paying attention. Then I'm going to do a squirt, about a tablespoon of garlic paste. It comes in a tube at your grocery, similar to tomato paste, in the same spot, you know, that's just like this. That way you don't necessarily have the hunks of the garlic in your queso, but you have the flavor, and that's really what we want. Okay, I'm going to kind of trade out here. I am going to give this a little whisk, and we want this to get warm. And what I do is I kind of keep whisking the bottom of my, or you know, whisking my queso or my warm milk, because I want to start to feel it. You can almost start to feel it at the bottom when it's starting to kind of cook. And as soon as you feel it start to get warm enough to start to kind of cook, you kind of want to turn your heat down so that it doesn't get too hot on the bottom. But we do need our milk and our, you know, our Rotel liquid to be warm enough that it will melt our cheese when we put our cheese in. Does that make sense? Are y'all tracking with me? Okay, our rice is good to go. So what I have here is just 1 pound. I have really only seen it come in the big 2-pound blocks of the Velveeta queso blanco. It's just the white one. And so I've just got a half of the 2-pound block, which is 1 pound. And then I've cut it into halves and then cut it in half again. And then I just kind of want to do it in these smaller pieces like this. The smaller they are, the quicker they're going to melt. If you do huge cubes, you are going to be so sad and everything's going to be ready and you're going to still be watching cubes of Velveeta swim around in your milk. You want it to melt on in. So I've gotten this cubed up. Then, you know, one of my all-time favorite things, I've used them like crazy. They are so easy to find. They're so easy to store, and they don't burn your fingers, is the jarred chopped jalapenos. They are awesome. And what we're going to do in this white queso to give it our heat, because, you know, we really haven't added anything in there yet that's got any kind of consistency or chunk. We're really creamy right now. We're going to actually do a couple of tablespoons of that jalapeno, you know, these jarred jalapenos in our queso at the end. Okay, I can feel it. I can see a little steam. So what we want to do is add in our queso blanco cubes. We're going to let that melt down, but we really want to watch it, okay? We're going to let it melt down. And then at the very end, we're going to stir in our jalapenos and juice. Our rice is done. Isn't that easy? We're going to throw our chicken on for like 6 minutes, 3 minutes each side. And when we come back, y'all, we're going to put it all together. So good. Come back. This is Cooking Today.
Candy, sponsored by Mars.
Hi, welcome back to Cooking Today. We are just finishing up Stephen's specials at home. What we did, we seasoned our meat. We grilled it for just a couple of minutes on each side. Not long because they're so thin. And I went ahead and just sliced it really, really thin. I'll show you in a minute. My rice has been done. That's an easy thing. We didn't even have to mess with that. My queso, we put in our cubes of queso blanco into our warm milk. And then I turn the heat up just a littlest bit so that it would melt in. And then I just stirred it and stirred it and stirred it. And then I added in at the very end my two or three tablespoons of chopped jalapenos out of the jar with a little juice. And then I just used my whisk. Oh my goodness. I just used my whisk to kind of stir it around nice and slow till it thickened a little bit. It needs a little bit of time to do that. And then I have chopped some cilantro and just, you know, halved a couple of like little cherry tomatoes or grape tomatoes. So look how pretty this is. Now I'll say, I think this is a beautiful, beautiful Stevens special. A couple of extra little pretty things. Look at this creamy queso rice with these jalapenos in it. Oh, my stars. And then look at my pretty chicken. They'll go right on top. You are welcome to stir that in if you want to, but it is awful pretty just like that. Tomatoes and cilantro, and you've got an at-home Stevens special. Delicious. I hope you will try this at home. Let me know how you like it, and love every bite. This is Cooking Today.
Cooking Today, sponsored by West Rock Coffee Company. Kitchenware is provided by Una Mays. Groceries provided by Harps, Hometown Fresh. Online Elements sponsored by Fayetteville Farmers Market.